Friends, good morning and welcome to this Thursday morning time of devotion and reflection. This morning I want to share a snippet of a transcript from a podcast by Father Richard Rohr of the Center for Action and Contemplation. And the podcast is entitled Learning How to See. And in this particular podcast, he has a conversation with author Brian McLaren, as well as Jackie Lewis, who is the pastor of the Middle Collegiate Church in New York City. And it starts out with McLaren saying this. He says, when I don't have intense and sustained personal contact with the other, my prejudices and false assumptions go unchallenged. Think of the child who is told by people he trusts that people of another race, religion, culture, sexual orientation, or class are dirty and dangerous. You can immediately see the self-reinforcing cycle. Those people who are dirty or dangerous, so I will distrust and avoid them, which means I will never have sustained and respectful interactive contact with them, which means I will never discover that they are actual wonderful people to be around. In this way, the prejudice cycle spins on, unchallenged across generations. As prejudice persists, it becomes embedded in cultures and institutions, creating systems of racism and hatred, marginalizing groups who are stigmatized, dehumanized, scapegoated, exploited, oppressed, or even killed. But if we are willing to listen to the other and learn from them, we can break out of our contact bias, which opens us up to seeing in a new way. On page after page of the Gospels, Jesus doesn't dominate the other, avoid the other, colonize the other, intimidate the other, demonize the other, marginalize the other. Instead, Jesus incarnates into the other, joins the other in solidarity, protects the other, listens to the other, serves the other, and even lays down his life for the other. And then Reverend Jackie Lewis says this, the one we follow into mission and ministry, Jesus the Christ, was an avowed boundary crosser, a reformer of the religious and secular culture of his time. We are in good company when we lead the way on radical inclusion of those different from ourselves. In some contexts, that might mean a black church reaching out to Korean neighbors, a Latino congregation starting a ministry to immigrant families from North Africa, or a Chinese church hosting an after-school program for African American junior high students. We believe the commitment to inclusion and diversity is a high calling issued to all who count themselves as Christians, no matter what our ethnicity or culture. The more we bump into folks who are so-called the other, the more we are stretched, the more we are pulled out of that bias and have new truths because we have tangible evidence of the beautiful, powerful creativity of our God who made all of this diversity for us to enjoy. And once again, that's a snippet of a transcript from a podcast entitled Learning How to See with Brian McLaren and Jackie Lewis. Friends, be well and stay well. Take care of one another. God's peace to you. Amen.